Breaking news, if these guys stay, these guys are threatening to leave and take their money and jobs with them. Welcome, everyone. I'm Liz McDonald. Neil Cavuto is back tomorrow. After the Wall Street protesters went to the home of hedge fund billionaire John Paulson, he fired back today, saying, quote, New York currently has the highest income taxes of any state in the country, and thousands of businesses have fled New York to states with no income taxes, such as Florida, Texas, and Nevada, or they moved offshore. You know what? Ronald Reagan famously said people can vote with their feet. And John Paulson clearly threatening to do just that. My first guest says protesters may be killing the goose laying the golden jobs and tax revenues. He's Dan Mitchell from Cato Institute. He joins me now. What did you make of John Paulson's remarks?
I think he laid it on the line in a very important way. A lot of people on the left have this fundamentally mistaken notion that the economy is like a pizza. And if someone like John Paulson gets a big slice of pizza, that automatically means less for the rest of us. But that's not how the real world works. We can make the pizza bigger and bigger over time if we have policies that reward people for working, saving, investing, being entrepreneurs. That's exactly what we want. That's what New York hasn't been doing. And unfortunately, it's not what Washington has been doing. And if we make America more like France, I mean, let's just get right to the bottom line. We make America more like France, we'll have the same economic stagnation, the same high unemployment rates on a long-term basis as you see in countries in Europe.
You know, Dan, here's the deal with John Paulson, though. You know, his hedge fund has been suffering. It's been getting hit with losses, and there's fears at the fund that there's going to be investor redemptions. Is he an unusual case because he's the only one who seems to be speaking out in terms of the Occupy Wall Street protesters who threatened to show up on his doorstep?
There are two types of rich people, and I suppose this is very important to get out there because maybe to some extent these Occupy Wall Street people have a point. If you get rich because you have some special access to the politicians, you get one of these green energy loans, or you benefit from the TARP bailout, then clearly you're not getting rich by providing things of value. You're getting rich by having your hands in the pockets of taxpayers. So I set those people off to the side. What I'm talking about are the entrepreneurs, the Steve Jobs of the world, the good investors, the good entrepreneurs. We want more people like that in America.
All right, let's stay on that, Dan, for a second, because essentially, John Paulson's fund invested heavily in subprime securities, and some would say, that was worthless paper, essentially. And, there's a lot of artificially inflated earnings down there on Wall Street. So why should we have any sympathy for him?
Well, we shouldn't, but that's the beauty of the free market. Assuming that the government's not going to step in with bailouts and handouts and subsidies, if someone like John Paulson falls from grace, if he stops providing value to investors and to his clients and his customers, then he is going to lose out. But that's part of the marketplace. Capitalism without bankruptcy is like religion without hell.
Yeah, you're quoting.
The problem with government is that if you fail, you get rewarded with even more money.
I know. I mean, governments fail and they get bigger. You're quoting Frank Borman, the former CEO of Eastern Airlines there. But, Dan, do you think, for John Paulson to cite other states such as Florida, Texas, Nevada, even offshoring money, this sounds like a threat that he's saying, I could pull stakes, I could leave. And he's basically telling the world he could do that. And other companies could very well do that as well.
That happens all the time. If you look at the long-term migration data, you see a big movement of entrepreneurs and investors and business owners from high-tax states to low-tax states. You better believe that Florida and Nevada and Texas, they're salivating at the prospect of New York raising income taxes because they'll get even more of these people. And there's no question around the world, we have seen a big shift of jobs and investment from the high-tax nations to the low-tax nations. Now, America might not be as bad as France and Germany and the general overall tax burden, but we have, along with Japan, the highest corporate tax rate in the world. And then we wonder why we're not getting more jobs created in America. We are shooting ourselves in the foot.
All right. Thank you, Dan Mitchell. Really good to be with you tonight, sir. Thank you so much for your time.